I'm John HYVAN. I'm a specialist anaesthetist here in Christchurch, New Zealand, and this is my friend Ivan Batistich. Together we have built a compact anaesthetic machine called the HYVAN. This came about because I used to do work in developing countries as an anaesthetist, and I was constantly frustrated by the equipment we had to use. It was often donated from other countries. There was a mishmash of bits and pieces. It was unreliable and unsafe, and really it was a tribute to the local anaesthetists that they were able to use this gear at all. And it struck me at that time that what was really needed was a simple anaesthetic machine which was ultra reliable and safe to use, and importantly it had to be affordable, because these countries often didn't have a lot of money at their disposal, and it had to be easily maintained and serviced in the local hospital workshops by the local technicians. In 1994, Ivan started producing his HYVAN anaesthetic ventilator, and this was a wonderful little ventilator. It was in widespread use throughout Australasia and Asia, and Ivan made over 1,000 of them, and they were very, very reliable and easy to use and safe. And in fact, Ivan often said the only repairs he had to do on it was to occasionally replace a battery and occasionally replace the rubber bellows when they perished. But it was renowned for its reliability. That was the key thing. So it seemed to Ivan and myself that what we should do was to use the iVent as the heart of this anaesthetic machine and build the machine around it, and build a machine to the same degree of reliability and safety. And that's what we attempted to do with the HYVAN, and I'm pleased to say I think we've achieved that. So this is the machine I use in my everyday anaesthetic practice in New Zealand. As you can see, it's a large machine. It's a beautiful machine to use. It's like a finely tuned racing car. It works extremely well. It's an integrated machine. By that I mean the monitors are integrated with the machine. It's obviously very expensive and technologically complex, and therein lies its vulnerability in the developing country situation. Difficult to maintain and service in a developing country, and so not really suitable for that purpose. This is the HYVAN compact anaesthetic machine. As you can see, it's small and it's portable. In fact, it's quite easy to carry. It weighs about 15 kilograms, so quite light. And it has a protective cover. I'll just take that off. So here's the HYVAN. I'll ask Ivan to explain how it works.
It works pretty much the same as any anaesthetic machine, but there are a few differences in this machine which I'll explain to you. Firstly, the gases, just like normal gases, enter the rear of the machine of 2 pin-indexed entry ports. From there, the oxygen comes through tubes down to these 2 flow meters, 1 oxygen and 1 air. They are mixed together and then they flow again into the Selectatec type vaporizer. From the vaporizer, the mixed gas then enters into the sodalome absorber and the bellows here, which is basically the patient bag. It has no APL valve on this machine. In fact, when you squeeze the self-inflating bag, which is attached to it, it locks up the bellows and sends gas to the patient. The patient can also breathe spontaneously, and I'll just put this mask on and just show you how that works. And you can see that the bellows then acts like a spirometer, small spirometer, so you can actually see how much volume the patient is breathing if you don't have a monitor. If we want to ventilate, normally when you hook the patient to your circuit, you remember you turn the APL valve down and squeeze the bag and squeeze the bag, and then sometimes you forget to open it. You look around and you have a big weather balloon. Well, that cannot happen with this machine. I squeeze the self-inflating bag like this. I push the bellows up and down. In fact, if I hold this, after a few seconds, it will release itself. There's absolutely no way that you can lock up the system and give the patient a pneumothorax. There's no way you can do that. So we can do this, and we can manually bag the patient, or if he's paralysed, we can just turn the ventilator on and the ventilator will take over. There's no need to flick switches. All you do is turn the ventilator on. It takes this out of circuit and immediately it ventilates the patient. What we do, we set our breath rate and our IA ratio. There was about a 2-second delay, and that gives you time to set up your parameters before the machine starts. So we'll just turn up to 1 to 2, and away we go. We're on to manual readings. And you see this is still connected to the machine. It's been taken out of circuit. We can increase the flow with a flow control here. We can also use pressure control mode by just opening this very simple blow-off valve here. And you can see now that we're pressure limiting at about 20 centimetres of water. It's a very simple idea, and there's no electronics at all involved in this pressure control system. It's completely fail-safe. The alarm system in here also has a negative pressure alarm. If for some reason there's a leak or you run out of oxygen, although running out of oxygen would also give you a pressure alarm. There's a negative pressure alarm which will alarm if the patient has no oxygen. And also the smart thing about this ventilator is it runs on 60 psi. When you connect the gas, it senses the pressure and it sets the alarm value at about 60% of that pressure. If you're running off a concentrator at a reduced pressure around about 15 psi, it will automatically set the alarm pressure at about 10 psi. It does all this automatically. And also, if you are short of oxygen, you can connect the bellows drive to air. So you can just use compressed air to drive the bellows and just use oxygen for the patient. So that will save you some oxygen in places where it's not freely available. The Selectatech system is just a standard BOC Selectatech system which you can take off. You can put different vaporizers on this machine. Some of them are at different heights. So what we have is our Selectatech block can move up and down to suit the vaporizer that you have. Also around the back of the machine we have the exhaust for anaesthetic gases which can be hooked to a passive or an active scavenging system. We also have a shelf here for a multi-parameter monitor which can give you your ECG, SpO2, invasive blood pressure, non-invasive blood pressure, temperature, and it also comes with a phase-in gas bench, Swedish designed. So you can have a multi-gas analysis on this machine as well.
Ivan's covered the workings of the machine, and I just wanted to go over from the anaesthetic perspective, from the user's point of view. Now, this is the patient's lungs, and so I'm ventilating with this bag. This is a self-inflating bag, and you can see the lungs going up and down, and of course the bellows going up and down. So the patient can either be breathing spontaneously, or I can take over and ventilate the patient as such. Now, if we want to change the patient to the ventilator, quite simple. We don't have to change any switches at all. All we do is turn the respiratory rate to what we want, say 12 breaths per minute. This knob here, we just put the IE ratio up to 1 to 2, and it'll automatically start ventilating. Cuts this bag out automatically, so we're on ventilatory mode there. Now, we adjust the tidal volume simply by adjusting the inspiratory flow. So if we want a tidal volume of, say, 500, I just increase the flow, and there it is, 500. If we want to use the pressure control mode, we can do that quite easily by this simple pressure valve in the back, and we can control whatever pressure we want to limit it to. So it's quite simple, really. And at the end of the operation, when you want the patient to start breathing in, we just turn the ventilator off, one switch, and let the patient breathe spontaneously. So finally, after 10 years of work, we have the fourth prototype, HYVAN, and we are in the process of obtaining ISO 13485 certification, that's medical device certification, and the CE mark. And we're about to embark on a clinical trial of the HYVAN. One recurring question I've had about the HYVAN is, what happens in the event of a power failure, an electricity failure? Well, in fact, the HYVAN, you can just carry on anaesthetizing. The internal 12-volt battery system will keep the electronics running for 50 hours. All we need is 1 litre of oxygen a minute, and you can carry on with spontaneous ventilation, or we can ventilate the patient by hand. So there's no problem in the event of a power failure. We're delighted that the HYVAN has just been awarded the WFSA Award for Innovation for 2016. So finally, after many years of work, we finished the project, and we're both very pleased with the end result. And I think we've achieved our objective of manufacturing a safe, reliable anaesthetic machine for use in developing countries.